Hello, everyone, and welcome to Team Ningen Gaming. I am the host, Matt. Today we have with us Rubén, the creator of Intruder in Antiquo. I didn't even think about the name. I was supposed to find out how to say it.
Antiquonia, yeah.
Antiquonia. Yeah, there it is. What a name. If anybody's having any trouble if everybody's noticing some static in here, we apologize about that. I'm gonna try and take care of that afterwards in editing. So, Rubén, tell us a little about
Hi.
yourself.
Sure.
Tell us your life story.
So I was born a very long time ago, like 43 years ago. And I grew up in a small city in Galicia. Galicia is a region of Spain right above Portugal.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, in the past, Portugal and Galicia were the same country. Um, And so when I was 6 years old, my father brought home the first computer. It was an Amstrad CPC 464 with 64K of RAM. 64K. No,
Right.
not megabytes, K, kilobytes.
Okay.
And I mean, he would be bringing all these games, and I was playing a few of them. But at some point, I started asking this pesky question: "Hey, Dad, how do I make one of those games myself? I want to do those things." It was, but I'm bringing you all these games. Just go and play with the games. No. I want to learn how to make them. And he would show me the instruction manual of the computer, because back then computers came with instruction manuals, and it had all these pieces of code that you could just type in the computer, see what they do, and so on. And I was just playing with that, and after a while, I managed to. When I was 7 or 8, I managed to do some very very simple games. Those kind of text adventures, but super simple. The game asks you a few questions. If you answer this thing, it goes this way, or otherwise it goes that way. But like 6, 7 questions maximum. I couldn't code anything more complex than that. It was just too small, right?
Right.
And after a while, I was asking my dad, "Hey, is this something that people can do like for a living? Like at some point, I know I have to choose which career I want to have and so on." He said, "Yeah, sure. You can actually even study those things at university, at college." And I said, "Okay, I want to do that." And I did go to college, and I studied software engineering because he brought this computer home, and because he brought these games, and I wanted to copy them, right? Um, and um, and then when I was about to finish college, I was reached out by one of the research facilities in that university. They were doing computer graphics and virtual reality before it was cool. Like virtual reality when it was giving you very bad headaches.
Oh
So
yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
that's
Like
when I was doing virtual reality.
nice. Like
So
The old Nintendo headset that you put on. Yeah, yeah. That
no,
was making
we
people
have
throw
this
up.
thing called Sony Glastron. It wasn't even a proper VR headset. It was actually giving you a different image for each eye, but both images combined would just make like a regular 2D picture, but just far away. Like the feeling. I think they made this headset for people who wanted to watch movies, like if they were in the theater, right? So
Right.
you would see the same computer screen just super big in front of you, like far away. That was the
Right.
feeling, right? And we were making video games with
Huh.
that.
That's actually kind of neat.
So it was like the feeling was like you have a screen in front of you and you carry it around as you walk around, because you could walk, and we have motion tracking and all of that. And then after a while, I was reached by a company there in Galicia as well. It's called Brain Entertainment. They do CGI for movies.
Hmm.
Um, and yeah, they offered me a position there to work in the IT, well, not the IT department, like the research and development department. Like they were doing tools for all the artists to make those movies and so on.
Hmm.
And I joined, and because of that, in the movie industry, people jump around all the time. Like they go for a movie because they think this movie is cool, and then they go to the next movie in a different country, and then they go to this other movie, and they cross the world many times. So I was working, my position was a bit more stable because it was software engineering, like I was building the tools across multiple movies, but I was always meeting all these people that were traveling the world and having these super cool experiences. And I said, I want to do this thing as well. That's something I want for myself. And then I said, okay, let's apply to random companies across the world. And I said, okay, what's the coolest company I could possibly work for? And I thought, okay, it's Google. Let's apply to Google, and I applied also to Facebook and LinkedIn and Twitter and all the cool ones, right? Mm-hmm. And I actually passed the interviews at Google. So I joined them, and I was working there for quite a while on Gmail, Google Maps, YouTube,
yeah,
as well. My last like 3-year period was at YouTube.
Nice.
Yeah, and then after a while, my family was growing, and we decided, okay, we want to go back to Spain, be close to family and friends, and have a little bit more help with the kids and so on. And then we said, okay, what should we do if we go back to Spain? And well, we could join some other company, or we could start our own thing. And we were considering both, and in the end, we decided to start with our own thing. And I said, okay, so this might be an opportunity to go back to this video game thing that I used to love, because at Google I didn't do any video games.
Right.
And that's how we got to this point.
Wow. You are the first person to have like the most fleshed out full story for us. And I love it. I absolutely love it. What a story.
Thank you.
That's so cool. So you actually worked for Google for a long time, several parts of Google and all of that, and you had a couple
about
of
9 years and a half or so.
Nice, 9 whole years.
And it was in Google Switzerland and in Zurich.
Nice. And you've done a lot of, basically, I'm guessing, programming your whole life. You've always loved it.
Mm-hmm.
But take me back to this point. You said your dad brought home what did he bring home exactly? Like a Commodore 64? What did he bring home?
No, it was the Amstrad CPC 464. It's very similar to the Commodore and Spectrum. It was kind of these were the 3 main computers at the time: Commodore, Spectrum, and Amstrad. And he brought the Amstrad. I don't know why.
Gotcha.
I didn't have anything to do with the decision. Not that I could make it any better.
Yeah. No kidding. Yeah. So that's interesting. So that's like shortly after, like how old were you then?
So when he brought the computer, I was 6.
You were 6 at that time. Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. Interesting.
And maybe for a year or so I was playing games, and then quickly I switched to this mental state of I don't want to play them, I want to make them.
That's wild.
I couldn't make any graphics or anything, right? They were just stupid games, very simple.
Yeah.
But to me it was fulfilling. I was making my own thing. I was super happy.
That's crazy. I don't think I've ever in my life had that kind of, like, especially that early in my life, had that kind of a drive to do something, some kind of work. Like, yeah, I want to make YouTube videos when I get older. I didn't even know what any of that was. I never processed that.
All the time I was trying to build stuff. Like there was this blending machine for kids that came up with this cocoa powder. And everybody who had like big families, they would get, because it came with a big box of cocoa powder. So only big families would get the present that came in the box, which was this blender for kids, right? So they could blend the milk with the cocoa powder. And because I was a single child, I didn't get that. So at some point I said, okay, I'm going to make myself my own. I actually made my own.
That's great. What in the world? You're just so you're a genius, basically, is what you're saying.
No.
It seems like it to me.
I'm a tinkerer. You're a tinkerer. Do-it-yourself kind of person. Yeah.
Nice. That's really, really cool. Yeah, I can't say that I've ever in my life just been one to create things. I like breaking down and understanding things, but I've never been to one to just create. So that's interesting. Like I have concepts and ideas in my head, but I don't really get down into the gritty and like ever do anything about it sometimes. Well, except now, obviously. I'm doing this now. But what you've done is you've made Intruder. I'm just gonna call it Intruder.
It's okay.
What is it? Say it again. I'm terrible with this.
Antiquonia?
Antiquonia. It is such a word. It is
I
such a word.
know.
Antiquonia.
It's perfect for marketing. Everybody knows how to spell it.
Yeah.
I'm joking, of course.
I mean, I knew how to. I really didn't. Not gonna lie, I had to look it up. I like copy pasted it everywhere because I couldn't figure it out. But yeah, that's interesting. So now you made this game. Very cool. That's funny. Oh my gosh. Okay, so let's you know what? Let's ask you about the inspirational figure. This is one that everybody hates. Who's been the most inspirational figure in your life?
Well, for me, that's a very easy one, right? My inspirational figure is my father, like really hands down. So he started his career as a solderer, like in a shipbuilding company, like really soldering things. And he reinvented himself inside the company many times until he reached a position where he was the head of the accounting department. Like
Right.
soldering, accounting, they have nothing to do with each other.
Right.
So he was actually reinventing himself many times until he got to that point. And he actually taught me that like if you work hard and you chase your dream, what you really want to do,
Yeah.
it is always possible to get there, right? But you have to really put the effort and work hard. And he didn't get to college or anything. He dropped out of school very soon. But then when he set up this goal for himself and he wanted to grow in that company, he started studying again so he could change roles and improve and get to that point. And that was super inspirational to me. So I think for me that was an easy question.
Yeah.
But if you let me also mention two other people that are more related to my current path in life, I would mention the Gilbert Nom brothers. You know, Dave Gilbert from Walle Games and Ron Gilbert, Monkey Island. And not for the reason that most people think. Well, in the case of Dave Gilbert, is because of the entrepreneurship thing, right? He managed to make a sustainable business to make point-and-click adventures, and that to me is like, wow, that's what I'm trying to do right now. And he tells me it is possible. I'm doing it. So
Yeah.
I have a goal that I know is attainable. It might be super hard, but I know it's possible because he did it. And Ron Gilbert, not because of the Monkey Island and all of that, but because he loves making the engine of his own games. And I know this is not super popular in the industry to make your own engine, and most people think shouldn't do that. But he loves doing that. That's his passion, and that drives him. And it's the same for me. I really love making the engine of my own games, and that's the part that I actually enjoy the most. Like even more than coding the specific logic of a particular game, like coding the engine is the thing that makes me super happy. And yeah, having somebody so successful doing that tells me, yeah, you can do this. It's possible, right?
Yeah.
It might be super hard again, but it is possible to do it.
Nice. That's awesome. Really cool. And actually, that reminds me of like, anytime that you have parents, they're usually the most inspirational figure in your life, because who else do you look up to when you're a kid, right? They're the ones that either nurture you, they're the ones that provide for you, they're the ones that have every say in the decisions in your life. Dad's like so strong, he can do anything, you know. And then of course, you know, what they say to you sticks with you in your life, and that's it. I think it's a really big thing. And you're a dad now, so you. Yeah.
Now I have the responsibility to do the same for my kids.
That's it. So for sure, that's really cool that you, yeah, it's cool.
And he's not only like providing, and of course all the things that we have to do as parents, but he was also very, very open to me choosing the career that I wanted to choose, because I know many of my friends have to go a particular path like medicine or whatever, because their parents were so insisting that, yeah, you have to pick this thing. Because when I started studying software engineering, it wasn't very clear that it would have this super bright future that it has today. So my father had to take this leap of faith and think, okay, this is what you want to do. Try and be the best you can at doing that, right? I don't know if it's going to be successful at some point. It turns out that today it is, but
Yeah,
back then
for sure.
we didn't know, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Wow. Yeah, and you worked hard at it. That
Yeah.
speaks numbers. By the way, that's something I feel like a lot of people here in the United States just don't get. They don't understand it. Like, people don't understand working hard. Like, legitimately, most people don't understand working hard. So that proves it. Like, that you've worked the job, you've worked hard, and you're living the dream, right? You now are running your own
Yeah.
little thing. You have enough saved up so that you can do that, right? You've got a family, you've got all the things you could, hope for, and you're working hard for it, right? And you're just
Yeah.
enjoying the journey, right? Hey, like, you got a
Yeah,
picture.
I mean,
You haven't got a picture of Up back there, right? A poster of Up. The adventure is the fun part. All the work.
But it is. I want to stress that it is hard, right? You
Yeah.
really have to work every single day towards that, and you can just say, okay, maybe if I work hard like Monday to Thursday, and then I take off the rest of the day, it will come anyway. No. You have to put all the effort. You have to work even weekends sometimes to get there. But
For sure.
for me, it was worth it.
Right. For sure. Rubén, that's awesome. Rubén, that's awesome. Sorry. I was like, wait, how do I say that?
No worries.
All right. So, what was the what was the first video game you ever fell in love with?
I want to know if you know this one. It would be the Abbey of Crime. Do you know that one?
No.
Okay, that doesn't surprise me because it didn't leave Spain.
Okay.
It's a video game from it was made in 1987. I was reading on Wikipedia before, so I could get all the facts right. And it's a game inspired by this book, The Name of the Rose, from Umberto Eco. And it's a game where you are a monk in an abbey and you have to do some chores, and in the meantime you have to research some crimes that happen inside there. And it was my first adventure game. That it was running on that Amstrad PC with 64K of RAM. Actually, I read on Wikipedia that the first version they made, it was for a more powerful Amstrad computer. And then they had to backport it to my computer, and they had to remove a couple of scenes because they couldn't fit in memory.
That's hysterical. Right.
And I mean, it wasn't a point and click because we didn't have mice back then, so you only had the keyboard. But it was like the closest thing to a point and click I could imagine with the technology we had back then.
That's cool. Nice. So that's what gets you into point and click adventures, huh? Got you
Most likely, yes. Yeah.
Nice. Is it like what do you find so interesting about point and click adventures?
So that goes back again to my father because he also loved that particular genre, and we would play them together. I always say it was like a cooperative multiplayer game for us.
Yeah.
Because we would be like playing like together on the same computer, right? And we would be trying to figure out the clues and solve the puzzles. And whenever I got the puzzle before he did, I was, oh my God, I'm smart. I beat him to something. And we were playing all of them together, like from Monkey Island, all the Lucas ones, a few Sierra ones as well. And it was super fun. And I have super fun memories of that time playing with him. And something I like about them, I always say as well, is that they give you the space to stop and think about the puzzles before you solve them. Like it's not like a platformer where you have to think super fast and make the best possible decision with this 500 milliseconds. Right now, in a point and click, you can take a day or two to think about the puzzle, then come back to it and solve it. And that actually I love, because that's the way I like to think and solve problems myself. Like when I remember at Google, when I was with a team of people trying to solve something completely outside of work, like these Ruby Goldberg machines that we would build just for fun. And there was always somebody who would jump on the problem right away, start building something, and that would make me so nervous because please stop for a little bit. I need to think about the problem first.
That's so funny. Wow. No joke. Now that I'm thinking about it, like that. Wow. You actually have your mindset is like the opposite of mine, right? Like I am one of those people that's like I just like start doing things right now, and we'll see what pops out. We'll see what happens. Okay, this works. This does not work. Okay, this works. This doesn't work, and just keep on. Well, you're.
Nowadays I understand it's super valuable to have like all these different mindsets when you're
Yeah.
trying to take a project forward, because as you say, some people are more like prototypers and other people are more like, okay, analytical, I need to think about all the consequences and influences and all of that. And it's great to have both at the same time, because each one of them complements each other, and that's great.
Yeah, that's really cool. That's so neat though. Just to think that we all have such different ways of looking at the world and problem solving. That's wow. Okay. So I'm sorry, I have two different lists here and I keep on messing them up. All right. What about game development initially? Well, we got that. Seeing the games when you were a kid, like what emotionally drew you to it though? About the whole thing. Like you like building your own stuff is what you'd say.
Right. I like building my own stuff, and but yeah, I could be building anything, right, with that mindset. So the thing is, after I did this software engineering education, I didn't really know if I wanted to make video games or anything else. So I did try a few things on my career, right? And that was great, because by trying all these different things, I actually learned both what I'm good at and what drives me, like what brings passion to me when I'm working on that particular thing. And by doing this is how I discovered that, if I think back of all the projects I was involved in, making games was the best by far. Like I don't mind spending 10 hours a day working on video games. It doesn't feel like work to me.
That's
but all
great.
the other things I did, after 8 hours, it's like, okay, I should stop, because that's enough for the day.
Like, I feel you. You spend all that time, and it's just like your energy levels continue to drop and drop and drop until you just don't want to do it anymore. That's pretty good. Okay.
Right. And when I'm making video games, that doesn't happen. I mean, of course, you do burn out if you don't take care of yourself, right? But even when my energy levels are dropping, I'm more naturally go for a walk, think about the game or something else, recharge, go back, keep working. When I'm working on other things, even doing that, right, recharging, it doesn't come so naturally to me. It's like I want to get over with this, right, and move to something else. With video games, I don't want to get over with it. I want to keep doing it. So I will go out, recharge, come back, and keep doing it.
Man, you're like an inspiration to me right now. Like I'm thinking, like, what do I want to do? What do I enjoy that much? I'm trying to figure that out in my head right now. Yeah, I can get my 2 weeks notice ready. Yeah, yeah, suck it.
Don't do that.
Too funny. Goodness gracious. So how did the idea of I was so close. I'm so close. Antiquonia. Nia was at the end. Okay. Antiquonia. Got it. How did the idea of Antiquonia come about?
So I've been releasing games for a while, like since 2010. I didn't release all these bad games I did as a kid. Nobody saw them. But after 2010, I started releasing a few of them. I did a couple of mobile games, this casual kind of thingy. And also another point-and-click adventure, Quantum Derailment is the name. I like to find very easy to pronounce names, And so when we returned back to Spain after these years in Switzerland, and we were thinking about, okay, what should we do with our lives? I was thinking about my experience making those games, and I remember, okay, when I was doing Quantum Derailment, it was super fun. I was having so much fun. And when I was working on the other two, the mobile games, it wasn't that fun, actually. I kind of wanted to launch them and move to something else as well, like my day job. So I realized, okay, we definitely want to do adventure games. And actually for my wife is also much better because adventure games are closer to her experience. She's a producer in movies, and adventure games are a little bit like movies when it comes to production. So it was much easier for her to transition into this.
Right.
So that's why we decided, we want to do adventure games. And so we came up with a few candidate stories by doing brainstormings and so on. And when we narrowed it down to 2 stories that we can like, we were asking people around, and they like the majority of people said, this Intruder thingy, this is it didn't even have a name back then, but they said this is the one that we like the most. Right. And then we talked to the writers, and they also say, this one has a lot more potential, and that's how we went with that one.
Okay, it's a lot of stuff going on there. I'm sorry.
It's scientific in a way because we did try a few right before we narrowed it down to only one.
Okay, all right. Like the idea of the story though, like the story idea. Do you have a good feel? How did the idea of the story come about? Like, do you have anything like that you draw from previously that you?
So the thing is, I can tell you just quickly. So one of them was like the other story was a little bit more like fantasy kind of thing, ghosts and so on, and Intruder was originally a little bit more on the computers. My promotional content is always around this, the town that hates the internet and so on. But my original kind of hook was, there is stuff around computers going on here and so on. And then when we talked to the writers, they said, but hey, you have this town where people don't want to know anything about computers, internet, and so on. I think there is a lot of potential in that town. We should give it a lot more credit in the game. And actually, we changed significantly the script because of that, to put a lot more emphasis on the town itself and a little bit less on the thing around computers that's going on the story at the same time. It's hard to talk about the game without entering spoilers, so sorry if I'm a little bit vague.
No worries. Yeah, I was just confused. I'm like, I don't really get it. But okay, gotcha.
So let's say, originally my original script, I wrote the original idea, and the original idea was putting a lot of emphasis on the path of Sarah, the protagonist. And then the script writers came and said, look, no, you have to put a lot more emphasis in the town. This town has a lot of potential, and we should exploit it. And that's how we came up with this. Okay, let's put the focus on the town instead of the protagonist, and then the protagonist is like what happens afterwards, right? You start with the town, this super cool town that has internet. Then from there, and there is a backstory explaining why they don't want internet, of course. And then from there, you go on with the story of Sarah, and I think it came up very, very nice in the end.
Nice, awesome. Well, if you'd like, we can share the game. Do you have a build for us? Do you have something for us to show? I don't remember now. I'm confused.
I don't have a build yet. Sorry.
Okay, gotcha. No worries. You said that you sent me some stuff, and I totally forgot. I'll put some stuff up on screen. I always forget. about that.
I do have a few videos, but and screenshots, but the build, no, not yet. I need to have a few more animations before I can share the build. I mean, I do have a build, but it cannot be shown because it's super ugly without all the animations. It's like puppets moving around, like floating around, like vampires.
Right, for sure. No worries. Yeah, I mean, I have it playing in the background right now, but that's cool. So what's been the most difficult thing that you've had to go through making the game in itself?
Mm-hmm. So the first one that comes to mind is definitely working with these other people, because we do work with a few freelancers that provide the art and music and stuff that I and my wife cannot do ourselves. And I did have experience leading software engineering teams back at Google, but I didn't have experience leading cross-functional teams. I didn't know how to lead artists or localization writers, sound designers, all of these people, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we are learning as we go, and it is challenging, especially because the communication is very different when you're talking to another software engineer who uses the same vocabulary as you,
Mm-hmm.
and when you're talking to an artist who uses a different vocabulary. In that regard, we are super lucky that we have Diego, our art director, because he is an artist but also a software engineer.
Mm-hmm.
So he's our Google Translate.
Nice. Right,
He's
cool.
the bridge that translates all the language between us and the artists. And also he's from Galicia, so he can convey this vision of we want to represent Galicia in the game. We want everything to look like you're in this region.
Huh.
Because our artists, none of them are actually from Galicia, except for the art director.
Right. Nice. That's pretty cool.
And if I can mention some more, I mean, staying within budget, of course, is always hard in every big project, especially video games. And there is this chicken and egg problem when you do the first game with freelancers, because you talk to freelancers, hey, how much does it cost to make this thing? And most of them will ask you, what's your budget? And it's like, well, I don't know, because I don't know how much these things cost yet, you know? So it's a little bit hard, this initial communication. Of course, after this game, now we kind of have an idea of how much things cost, and the next conversations on further games are going to be much easier. But in this first one, it was like, oh, we are supposed to know how much do we pay you?
Yeah. So, I don't know if you know this. Not a lot of people hear about this, but I'm actually going to pull it up just so I remember. I'm going to pull this up. Let me see. What was it? Hex. I think it was Hex. Oh, that's it. Hex Shards of Fate. Have you heard of that game?
No.
So it's free to play. And basically, the game, it's like a Magic the Gathering game, but because it's on PC, you can have things that are truly random, right? So it has like probability statistics. It's all kinds of interesting things going on there, and it also plays a little like Clash Royale or Clash Royale. Now, here's the thing: the guy who made the game, he wanted the artwork to be amazing. He wanted it to be so beautiful, so regardless of the situation, right? He wanted to be amazing. He spent so much money on artwork that it pretty much like it kind of plummeted the game because like he just didn't have enough money.
So, wow.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's out and it made quite a bit of money. In fact, they actually still have some stuff coming out every once in a long while. It's just, it had a really hard time staying up.
I
like,
totally understand.
So I mean, like you can pump a lot of money into artwork, and then like actually too much into artwork. I've seen it happen.
I totally understand. I mean, we have to understand our position in the game dev world, right? If I'm an indie developer, I cannot aspire to ship a game that looks like a AAA. I cannot make a World of Warcraft myself.
Right.
That doesn't make any sense, right? So I have to understand my position and say, okay, this is how much I can afford, and this is the people I can pay to do it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know. You could probably make World of Warcraft pretty easily yourself at this point because of how if you look at that artwork, you know what I mean?
I probably try, but no. They have super talented people and a lot of them, so no.
I don't know about that. I don't know. Yeah, it's interesting because like their artwork is kind of, I don't know. I played a long while back. I don't know if they made huge changes or anything, but they seem to have like kept it to a point where almost anybody can play the game. You know, on any computer.
The computer.
Yeah. They need a really big update because it's just the graphics are so out of date. It felt like even when I was playing it like 6 or 7 years ago. So that's funny. Cool. So artwork, having communication. That's what you were saying. Communication.
Yeah, communication is tricky. I mean, until you get used to it, right? Once you learn, it's like everything. Once you learn to do it, then it comes easy. Like riding a bicycle. But the beginning is really painful.
Yeah, really painful. You keep falling down over and over. Yeah, and then finding out marketing and all of that. That's
Oh
interesting.
yeah, marketing was my other one.
so all right. So we've gone on for not even 30 some minutes. We usually would hit the video game by this point, but so is there anything else about the video game you'd like to share, or should we get into some other topics?
Yeah, move forward. I think it's okay.
What?
It's okay to move forward to other topics.
Okay, so I was talking to you before we even started. Usually, I'd say stuff like this at the beginning of the conversation, but I'm all out of whack today. So, you have what's your favorite? You've had time to think about it. What's your favorite Futurama episode?
So I actually, yeah, as we were talking, a few of them were coming back to my mind, and
Nice.
there's
Nice.
this one where the government is giving $100 to everybody, and each character spends this $100 in a totally different way. Right. And it's so funny how they all decide to spend the $100, especially Bender, of course. He's always weird in that.
Well, yeah.
But I remember that Fry was deciding to spend the $100 in coffee, like 100 coffees. And at the end, he gets so much coffee in that reality starts to slow down for him, and he gets kind of Neo powers, like in the Matrix, where he can move super fast. It seems like everything is slowing down for him.
That's hysterical. Yeah, I vaguely remember that episode.
I watched them like 1,000 times.
Oh, did you? Wow. Oh, man. Yeah, I've watched it probably twice, all the way through. But yeah, good show. What a show to watch.
Yeah, and then it's actually an inspiration for my games. I mean,
really?
Intruder is not very much on the comedy side, but in Quantum Derail, it was comedy, and it was one of my inspirations, Futurama, and this kind of weird sense of humor that they have, where they do things that you totally don't expect, and I try to capture that. I mean, it's hard. It's really, really hard to do. Mm-hmm. I try.
That's really cool. Nice. That's pretty cool. What? Okay. Tell me about these projects that you made that were comedies. Wait, tell me more about that. What's going on there?
So the Quantum Derail. So that's also
Quantum
a point and click. Mm-hmm. Quantum, like because at the time when I made the game,
I'm looking it up.
Like the news was all the rage with quantum computers, quantum physics. Everything was quantum at that point, and I said, okay, if I make a video game, it will have quantum in the title. And it happens most of the game happens in a railway station, and that's why I came up with these play awards with Quantum Derail. Mm-hmm. And the premise is that there is this company who were working on the first quantum locomotive, and somebody steals the prototype of the quantum locomotive, like a train that uses quantum physics to move around, right? And then the protagonist is a police investigator, and he has to figure out where did it go and so on. And they realize that one of the research people, like the main research guy in the company, left the company, and is able, and they have a lead into this very old abandoned station, and that's where you have to go and figure out what happened to that locomotive and try to find the guy.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, I pulled it up on the screen for a bit if anybody wanted to see it. But yeah, that is interesting. Yeah, I didn't. Yeah, wow. Maybe I'll play it at some point. It says played on itch.io. Yeah.
Yeah, it's free to play, and it runs on the browser directly.
Nice. Right on. All right, I'll give it a try sometime.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah,
I hope you enjoy it.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm sure I will. Let's see. What did we say? Oh yeah. So you are a Pixar fan, and you have a Up poster behind you. What is so special about Up? What did you love about the movie Up? Enough to put a poster behind you of it.
Those are two different questions, by the way, with different answers.
Okay.
What's so special about Up is that my wife was working in the movie industry and she had special access to all the posters that they didn't use up in the theaters when after they put the movies up there, right? And then, well, she managed to get this one up.
Nice. That's pretty
so
cool.
That's why we have it, just because by chance we got it for free.
Okay. All right. Well,
Now, yeah, it is true that I love all the Pixar movies, and Up is one that I actually like a lot, and it's partially because of this kind of father and kid relationship that you have in the movie, even though the guy in the house and the kid that gets there, they are not related, but they have this kind of father and kid relationship. And that's very emotional for me, right? So I think that's the reason why I like this movie so much.
Yeah, that's pretty good. I like that. That's cool. Yeah,
But
that
it's
is
not my
interesting.
favorite Pixar movie, though. My favorite Pixar movie, and I need to get a poster of that, is Wall-E.
Walle. Nice. What a movie. I was literally just thinking though, and we'll get back to Walle in a bit, but I was just thinking there's I can't really think of many Pixar films. Well, yeah, they're all very unique, aren't they? Each of them kind of have some really unique thing about them. Like there's A Bug's Life. It's not really
nowadays
people.
You see Cars 2 and Monsters 2, and they're kind of doing these second parts of movies, but especially in the beginning, every movie was unique and different and have nothing to do with all the others, and that's super special. It's very risky for a business, but they had such a loyal fan base because of that, right?
Yeah, I think there's something so human about every single one of their movies, and yet at the same time, nothing in them is usually human.
Yeah, they take things to the extreme. Yeah, that's true.
That's interesting. So tell me, Walle. Why do you love Walle so much?
I like all the movies and books and so on that are futuristic about what the humanity is going to become in the future. And and I like how Walle represents this kind of. It's very interesting because you remember Mad Max that paints this super terrible picture of the future where everybody's fighting and so on. And in a way, with Walle, they managed to do exactly the same thing, but for kids, and like super nice to see. But it is the same thing, right? It's painting a super ugly picture about the future of humanity, where everybody is like just on their chairs, like not moving much and not doing anything but watching TV all day and so on. And I find it very interesting how they managed to represent something an idea that is so horrible in such a nice way that everybody can watch it, and it's safe for kids to watch as well.
Right, yeah. That's interesting. That is true. I never really thought of it that way. All I thought of was, ew, gross. Sitting in your chair all day, getting fat. But yeah, I mean, it takes different minds. You thought about how it was made. I thought about how these people are gross, and that's all I could actually get behind. Interesting. But yeah, still, I don't know if there's anything else I'd like to ask, but I'd love to talk more, but the whole point was to share more about your game. People, you could always check out, there's Quantum Rail, and then Antiquonia. Antiquonia, I said it correctly. Yes. Antiquonia.
I'm going to share a little secret with you. The first 100 or so times that I wrote Antiquonia, I had a typo.
Oh, did you? You actually had a typo yourself writing it. That's fantastic.
Yeah. I mean, I love the name because it actually represents very well what the town is, right? Everything is so old school, antique, right?
Oh,
but on the other hand, it's super hard to type. It is super hard to spell. And it's going to be tough if people try to write it. I hope that at some point Google will start correcting misspells.
Yeah, right.
Did you mean Antiquonia?
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Very good. Well, for everybody out there, if you want, the game is out, will be out eventually planned release date 2022. It looks like you said, huh?
Yeah, we're aiming for the first half of the year.
Do what I just did on screen.
Most optimistic hope is Q1, but I know that once we start doing QA and testing and so on, there will be bugs, and that will set us back to Q2 most likely. So realistically, first half of the year.
Okay. Interesting. Okay. Everybody out there, go ahead and check it out on Steam. Wish list it, just like I did on screen. You can see it there. There's a little button there. Add to your wish list.
Thank you so much.
That you can keep up to date with it. And when it comes out, you can, of course, buy it, because why wouldn't you? Buy from this guy. Rubén is a really cool dude. Feel free to do just that. Rubén, anything you'd like to say or add for the people out there?
Yeah, sure. We also have a newsletter that you can join. We post news about the game every week. Absolutely no spam, just sending pictures of the game and improvements and stats about our production, how much stuff is done, how much stuff is left, and so on. So if you want to keep tabs on the game, feel free to join our newsletter. You can find it in our website, arimastudios.com. And yeah, that's awesome. It. Thank you so much for having me. That was super fun.
I'm glad you had fun. Sorry, I'm tripping all over my words today. I don't know. I'm not enough coffee. Rubén, thank you for joining. And everybody out there, thank you for joining. And we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.